Hello, good morning. Very interesting, some of the comments that I got in relation to death do us part yesterday. I suppose really giving an alternative point of view to that of Stephen in the eyes of a Philippine expat or something like that, he calls his channel. You know, there are so many issues that we as foreigners face coming to the Philippines, deciding to make it our home. It's something I think we all tend to not address properly. I think that, you do your due diligence and find out as much as you can about a country you're going to. But for most of you out there who are in the later part of your life, living on maybe a pension or a small annuity and maybe some savings, the reason you're coming here is because you're, in a sense, you have that spirit inside you that wants to have the final hurrah, somewhere where you can enjoy that time, not, wait till that doom and gloom time of, it's all over. So you come here with the idea, well, yes, I'll get myself a nice young spring chicken. Gonna have a wonderful life. My sex life will be great. Well, will it? Maybe some of you are sort of dead on arrival. But never mind. You decide to do that in your life. And you come here to the Philippines. And I think you use the wrong measuring stick to decide on your future, and you're not looking at the things that really are important. Like you worry about brownouts or power outages or internet speeds not being fast enough. You worry about the food that maybe you say you can't find easily, which of course is absolute BS. Virtually everything that is available in the West is available here. If not at the local market, at the wet and dry market, in supermarkets, it's there. You don't have to have imported steak, you can have local steak. You can have pork mince, you can have pork chops, you can have chicken, you can have fish, you name it, seafood, everything. So the idea that those are the most important issues that you need to face is somewhat crazy. The idea that you have to build a home that is like a mansion. Yeah, I made that mistake, but one would have been happy with a single story bungalow, finished off. Maybe not finished off, but the point is that for somebody who has nothing, has no asset beyond maybe a steady job, struggling to bring up maybe 1 or 2 children, maybe no children, their situation and yours is going to be totally different. For some of you, you'll make that excuse and say, yeah, I'll have a single mother, it's a ready-made family. Have you ever really thought about all of the aspects of taking on someone else's children? Finding out in this culture it's not really your role to tell the children how to do this and how to do that, in the sense of correction, reprimand. It's the mothers. Mothers do it. The fathers might look like that, but the mother is the one that deals with it. So expecting that you can step in and take over that role as a missing father is a little bit stupid. You have to build a completely different kind of relationship with them. And all of these little seemingly not so difficult things are actually quite a challenge for people who live their lives in the West and done them everything that we do here in a different way. You know, you talk about medical. Everybody's got to look at medical. You know, sometimes we get sick, sometimes it's an emergency, sometimes we need help. Most towns have at least what we'll call a district hospital, and you'll get basic care. If they can't handle it, you'll be taken in an ambulance when one's available to the nearest hospital to get the extra care. You'll be more than likely taken as a foreigner to a private hospital as opposed to a government hospital. But nevertheless, you will be done. You will be taken there. But of course, you must remember that this costs money. And if you look at your own new family, ask yourself, ask them, what happens when Lola gets sick, or Lolo or Lola gets sick, or Auntie gets sick? What happens? I mean, I myself have seen a family that used to live in what most of us would call abject poverty down near the river, in the Gilly. This was about, I think now, maybe 4 years ago. A very large family, really. I think there were at least 14 people in the family that I knew of. That didn't include the ones that come and visit periodically from various parts of the region. But their father got sick. This was before COVID, and he got pneumonia. And they took him to the hospital in a tricycle, barely able to stand. He came back, and I said, oh, well, he'll be able to be, that's a bit strange. Why did he come back so quickly? He was pretty poorly. Oh, they gave him some tablets. Well, they showed me the tablets. They're basically paracetamol to try and make the fever go down, and told him to keep laying down, be quiet, be calm. And that's what he did. He came back. And progressively over the next 3 or 4 days, he finally faded away. He died. Shock to everybody, including myself. I couldn't believe that I was prepared to offer them money to take them to the hospital in San Fernando, and even have to pay for maybe some of the medicines that he might have had to do. He may well have been still with us today. But it highlights the fact that medical care here is all about money. You know, the Philippines is not a country full of people handing out freebies everywhere. And when you have to go to a hospital, be it a motorcycle accident, car accident, a bus accident, if you're injured in a bus, then hopefully the bus company will pay the bill of you going to hospital. Because when you do get injured and you're in a hospital, you have to pay before you leave. Now, many of the channels have talked about this, but the reality is that if you're going to preoccupy your mind with that focus every day, how are you going to have a happy time here? We are living in different circumstances, and the different circumstances are completely foreign to us too. Yes, and we're foreigners. But we have to live each day as if it's our last. We have to, not in a morbid way, but just push all that away. You know, it's not being irresponsible to enjoy your life. You do the best you can surrounded. If you're in the middle of a desert, what are you looking for? Maybe water and some shade. When you're in the Philippines, you're looking to live the life that you want to live, with the hope that it's going to be as long as possible. And therefore, we must remember that each Filipino who is born here faces the same issues that you and I face. except that in their case, they maybe don't have the benefit of resources behind them. So therefore, their options are limited. Your options are much better. The best thing I can say to anybody coming here is don't spend all of your pension. Don't be in such a rush to dish it all out on the frittering away of money to make you feel good that you've given somebody something. Look after yourself as well. Not only walking, eating good food, but be proactive in the sense that if there is an event that you need help and money, that you've got that money there to support you. And just because you have one attempt at supporting yourself and getting yourself back on your feet, don't assume that it's not going to happen again. So keep that as a regime. Keep money aside always. You know, it's all very well for the well-heeled to say, well, you're ridiculous coming here with no money. They don't know what it's like to have just a state pension and maybe some small savings. And it's easy for those that live in glass houses to throw stones. But of course, we know that's not a good idea. I think that was the saying anyway. But the point that I'm making is that we cannot live on eggshells. We cannot walk around thinking, what if? But yes, spend the time to ensure that you've done the best you can to make sure your life here in the Philippines is going to be less of a worry for you and those around you. You are going to be asked to help if another member of the family gets sick. You are going to be asked if you can help a member of the family buy a motorbike. Maybe even you go and co-sponsor. Come on guys, you know, a motorbike, 80,000 pesos. You get that in your pension. Spread over a year, does it really matter? You know, 6-8% of your money, possibly lost. You just need to get real. You've come to the Philippines with the idea of staying here. You have to accept what's around you. If you cannot accept that, then you're wasting your time coming here. Don't sit there and say, well, I spend 6 months here and 6 months there. That's like having a bet each way. How can you honestly expect a really true and honest relationship with any woman if you keep saying to her, I'll be back in 6 months? You know, if you're a seaman and you're working overseas or you're on an oil rig, at least you do come back periodically, but you know, you cannot expect that woman to consider it a real relationship when all you're doing is spending 6 months with her and then 6 months you're making sure she's got money while you're away, then hoping that you can just pick up where you left off when you come back. That's not fair on her. And really, what are you doing in that 6 months whilst she's working her life together without you and just knowing that maybe you're going to come back? You know, you imagine for a minute what it must be like to wave goodbye to her foreigner, never quite knowing if he's going to come back. Was this all just using me? Was this all just a test drive? Maybe now he's getting cold feet, so he might not come back. He might slowly cut the money off. These are the thoughts that you've got to think about. How will it be received by her? How will she perceive that relationship? Is it a sincere relationship, or is it just one for the ego of a foreigner? You know, it's boots and all for me. And I think most of us would agree with that. You're in it for the long haul. There's no dipping your feet in the warm water and then deciding to go somewhere else. It's just like any relationship. You know, it takes time to form and it takes time to get used to each other. And it can't be done if all you're going to be is here 1 minute and gone the next. So these are the issues. Forget about the red flags. Any common sense tells you that there's going to be things you have to watch out for. But the biggest ones are, can you handle it? Will you be able to be a good partner for your Filipina? None of us can give the right answer to that because each of us is different. Each of us deal with the daily issues in our own way. And who am I to tell you how you should be living? Did you listen to your mother? Let alone your dad, unless he had the belt in his hand. So, you have a great day, and it's a bit of an overcast day today. After all, it's a rainy season. A lot of floods around the Philippines, especially in Manila. And one just hopes that not too many people lose their lives through not being able to swim. So, all the best, and I'll catch you later. Bye now.